Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I'm looking at Incredible Hulk number 362. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Daryl. I am the host of Read Your Comics, and I am continuing to look at the Peter David Hulk run issue by issue. But before I jump into today's book, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the viewer support. All your likes, comments, and shares are much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel or just haven't done so already, be sure to hit subscribe. I'm going to put the graphic right here so you can do that. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit like. If you like the video now, you won't forget later, and it helps all those YouTube algorithm-y things. Let's look at this book. This is a Kevin Nolan cover. Jeff Purves is still going to be doing the interiors, but as we get towards the end of the Purves run, we're getting all these guest cover artists, and I don't know if that was he already had one foot out the door, or Marvel was just wanting to try to boost sales with some guest artists. We had a Byrne cover a couple issues ago. Then there was a guest penciler altogether. Purvis came back for that really awesome Iron Man cover, and now we get this Kevin Nolan cover. And I think Nolan does a different kind of look to the Hulk than what Purvis has been doing, where I think Purvis adapted what McFarlane had been doing with the Gray Hulk into something of his own. I think this is more like a Kirby style Hulk from the first 6 issues. Werewolf by Night is the guest star. And if you were an old fan of Werewolf by Night, I don't know that you would have known who this was. At some point, they changed Werewolf by Night from being a Universal Monsters type of design, like clone more or less. And in the 80s, werewolves in Hollywood movies and such started taking on this more like a realistic wolf, like a giant wolf that could kind of stand on its hind legs approach. And at some point, Marvel decided to change Werewolf by Night to that. I know Werewolf by Night has some stories around this time period, and Marvel Comics Presents. I don't know if they came out before or after this issue, so I don't know if that's like a story element that the way the character looked changed, like it was with the Hulk, for instance, or if they just decided this is the way werewolves look now. So when he turns into the werewolf, he's going to look like what Hollywood sees as werewolves. Anyway, I didn't know who Werewolf by Night was at the time, but I loved werewolves as a kid. I would say after Freddy Krueger, werewolves were my favorite type of monster. More than Dracula, more than Frankenstein, I loved werewolves as a kid. So this was a pretty cool issue to come out. And I think for this stage of the Hulk's lifespan, I guess you'd call it makes for a nice dichotomy of the two characters, as they are both night transforming characters, and that the moon also influences their change. So let's go ahead and jump in. Like I said, Jeff Purvis still doing the interiors. Great opening shot here. Love his lettering on the title as usual. I definitely love the Hulk face in the side of the rock with, it's actually a coyote howling there. It's not a wolf, it's a coyote. But Peter David writing, Jeff Purvis pencils, Mary Severin on inks, Joe Rosen lettering, Glennis Oliver on colors, Bobby Chase and Tom DeFalco doing the editing jobs. Loving the Mary Severin inks. She continues to just knock it out of the park and really punch up, I think, the line work of what Purvis had been doing before, but she's gotten to a rhythm with working with him at this point. So here's your look at the coyote. And there's just dialogue here that's setting like mood, atmosphere for the story. When the coyote's chasing a roadrunner, so there's a little, wink, wink, Peter David nod there. And then all of a sudden there's something else chasing after the coyote, and it catches the coyote and proceeds to eat it, and then chases after a rabbit. This is our first look at the Werewolf by Night, and a little different than what we see on the cover, but still quite a bit different than what, if you were familiar with Werewolf by Night before this, quite a bit different from that. He's wearing no clothes, for instance. I think Purvis did a good job on the coyote face right there. Sometimes animals are a struggle for some guys. The rabbit leads the werewolf around the corner to find a sulking Hulk who's in the middle of a conversation with Banner. And this is pretty interesting because it's the word balloon is showing who's doing the talking here. So this one is Banner. It says, "No, Hulk, I won't do it. Leave the girl in peace." And then you see this has like an outline around it to show that it's actually the Hulk talking. "I want Marlowe, Banner. I want to see her one last time and set things straight." So kind of foreshadowing where the rest of this story is going, but they've done this last couple issues with Hulk and Banner, like having like conversations right as the change is about to happen. When the werewolf sees the Hulk and's like, big meal, and goes and attacks. And I'm like, Hulk, what's happening out there? Sticks its claw in his ear. Yow. Good look on the Hulk's face right there, too. Again, I think this is being punched up by the Mary Severin inks. So right off the bat, we're getting a nice werewolf Hulk throwdown right here in the middle of the night out in the desert. I think they said it's the Yucca Flats. And the whole time Hulk and Banner are having this conversation because the sun is about to come up and he's going to change. And the Hulk is at the same time thinking, I got to take care of this thing, whatever it is, before the change because it'll rip Banner to shreds. He even says, I got to fight off the change or it's going to kill Banner. And the sun starts to come up and he's able to fight it off. And he said, you don't know who you're messing with. I'm the Incredible Hulk. And just then the sun comes up and the werewolf is shocked and takes off. And the Hulk is confused. He's like, how about that? I should have just said that from the beginning. And as the werewolf ditches around back behind this rock feature, you get the duality here of both Banner and Jack Russell changing back into their human forms. So that's kind of a neat play on it, I think, between these two characters. Then we get to follow Jack Russell and kind of get introduced to him because, like I said, I didn't know who this character was as a kid. I know who he is now, obviously, but back then this was all new to me. I was like, oh, look at this werewolf guy. That's pretty cool. But oddly enough, despite me loving werewolves, I didn't go seek werewolf books out. I don't know what my mindset was then. Probably I didn't have enough money, but anyhow, so he goes to find this like deserted, looks like an old deserted like nuclear testing thing, nuclear testing like bunker, and he's going to try to lock himself in it until the next nighttime, which seems kind of early. You're not going to do anything during the day. And notice how he's completely naked and with the strategically placed things. Banner at least gets to keep his pants on. We meet an old Native American person, and he's been driving this roads for decades, and he has an old coyote friend who he always thought of as good luck, and unfortunately, there's a bad omen. Cut to Marlowe, who has also been thinking about Joe and Banner and how things ended, and how she'd like to see him one last time too, because she feels like it ended on a bad note as well. Banner had mentioned, well, we saw Banner get a job a few issues back at this nuclear research facility where he thinks he's going to, in the daytime, work to get a cure for himself. That was kind of a deal he'd set up with the Hulk to stay in Las Vegas, that the Hulk could keep his nighttime Las Vegas gig going while Banner has his daytime, and that they would just kind of work together to keep life happy for both of them for the time being. And the Hulk agreed to it at the time, but of course the Hulk has been fired since then. He's only been pacified by some of that McGuy money he got in the last issue. But Banner, he's working this job not for the money, but so he can get close to the research facility to look for a cure. And as he almost blows his cover here, as he's looking at something and notices something out of whack, and the guy's like, "You're not a janitor at all, are you?" He's like, no, I prefer a sanitation engineer," and gets back to work with the guy fixing the things that Banner pointed out. And as he's in here thinking, he's thinking to himself about how he's, I'm hoping to find a cure, and he's not going to call Marlowe no matter what the Hulk wants, when all of a sudden he gets this pounding headache, head splitting, where's the phone? And next thing you know, he's calling Marlowe just to touch base with her. And then he starts thinking, just hearing her voice made the headache vanish. Incredible. And he tells him that she's working out there, and she's like, "I'm coming to see you right now." You just see her leave, and he tries to call her back, but she's already gone. He didn't want her to come out. He just wanted to pacify the Hulk by, calling her to kind of let her know that, make sure she's okay. I don't know what the Hulk really wanted there. Interesting here, though, is that Banner, after he hangs up, what if I'm not searching for a cure to the Hulk? What if the Hulk is searching for a cure to Banner? Dun, dun, dun. So Banner obviously troubled by the influence that Hulk is having on him during the day, and that he's not able to have that influence on the Hulk in the evening. But he kind of does, in a way. Anyway, so Marlowe's taking too long to get there. Turns out she ran off the road, wrecked the car, and gets picked up by the Native American guy. Meanwhile, back at that bunker, you see Jack Russell looking for some chains to chain himself up before moonrise. I mean, this is like kind of like horror movie tropes, right? That we're setting up here. All the pieces are falling into place. She gets to the phone of the old man. I think his name was Old Man Joe. So she calls Bruce back at the number, which was that payphone, I guess. And he's like, let's just do it tomorrow because it's getting late and Bruce has to get home. Bruce has bought a car. Nice station wagon. But he doesn't make it in time. Screech. And he turns. And then also, bam, bam, bam. Jack Russell is turning. And now he's the Hulk. And the Hulk points out here that it's interesting. I was able to hold back the change a few minutes this morning, but you couldn't keep me for even a second. Opens the door for all kinds of possibilities, doesn't it? Weird thing going on with his eye right here. I don't know if that's like a coloring mistake or this eye's like kind of open a little bigger, like he's kind of squinting and the hair falling in front of his face. One thing I think Mary Severin does on the hair for the Hulk is Purvis would do these like kind of blocked off almost rectangles coming off of the Hulk's head, and I bet she's the one that's shaping the hair to come to a little bit more pointy angles. The door to the bunker is now ripped open, so you know the werewolf is out. Marlowe's looking at the hole over here that the guy dug for the coyote. So her back is turned, and you hear the thunk with the werewolf. I mean, all this is pretty frantic right here. I love how it's like it goes sideways, or not sideways, but slanted to add a little bit more frantic energy to the page. Get his lettering on here. You got to think he's dead right there, but he is saying, help me. This is all set up pretty well, too. If you look close, you can see the keys there. And then she's running she comes up with the keys right on the hanger, and then you can see the keys in her hand. So that's pretty good storytelling right there, even though she did have to run right by the wolf to to get those keys. So she's going to run to get in his car. And of course, it's not going to start right away because we're doing like horror movie tropes here, right? So it's just like, rah, 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 rah. But as soon as the werewolf gets on top, you get vroom, it starts and she guns it. I like this panel here too, this thin one going across with the truck pulling away, and the way the wolf runs kind of like on all fours after the truck, and he almost catches up. And look who's coming around the corner. He was pretty close, I guess. And he realizes that's Marlowe. And first he has his moment of, I should just let her die. The way she did me wrong like that, I could just sit here and let that thing tear her up, and that's the end of that. Pretend I was never here. But of course the Hulk can't do that. Now, is this Banner exerting his influence on the Hulk? Or is just the Hulk is a big softy, like he is often shown, and is not going to let that happen? And the rest of this is just pretty cool fight scene of the Hulk taking on the werewolf. Good panel layout here too. I like the boxes inside of boxes. That's something Purvis was doing early in the run, and either I just quit pointing it out or he kind of got away from it. Is the way he would do like a big panel up here, but then tack another panel, smaller panel, kind of like a transition almost, and then smaller panels here. Again, I've said it before, but I think Purvis, there's certain issues he had more fun with, and I believe this was probably one of them. Marlowe climbs out of the top. Remember, Marlowe's like pretty tall. And then the Hulk is going to just do his Hulk thing and fight the werewolf. But he's smarter than the wolf. The wolf is more animalistic and just wants to attack, and it's raw predator mindset, whereas the Hulk is going to like rip off this chain off the truck and use it as like a lasso to chain up the thing. And then just throws it away. Just be gone. I don't even want to mess with you anymore. I like that shot too. That makes the Hulk feel pretty large. Throw a snake in there just for good measure. Then he makes a honeymooners joke. I keep saying you keep pushing me, and one of these days, this is it, Alice. This is the day. Bang, zoom, to the moon. Probably 3 miles away. He did that to that creature Half-Life at 1.2. Sometimes when the Hulk just doesn't want to mess with these little creatures, he just throws them way out of the distance just to get them out of the way. So Marlowe's happy to see Joe. And they have this heart-to-heart here about how she was in love with him and stuff. And we really only saw Marlowe and Joe interacting a couple of times throughout a 3-issue span. Other than that, she was always just chasing after him and he was being mean to her. So I don't really like the whole she was in love with him, because he never really did anything to make her fall in love with him. He saved her one time, and even in the issue the Spider-Man crossover issues, she came by to see him in the daytime, and he told her to get lost, and he was just mean to her. So I don't like this whole part about, like, I did love you, Joe. I did. You know I did. But he basically tells her to get lost because he's the Hulk. He doesn't say I'm the Hulk. He's just saying it's the way it needs to be. And she gives him a hug and says goodbye. And we don't find out what happened to old man Joe. That's kind of sad. He seemed to have lived anyway. He said, "Help me," in his car. Did he live or did he die? Maybe we'll find out next issue. Or maybe we won't. Maybe that's a loose thread hanging for no apparent reason. Anyway, it's a fun issue. I do like the whole werewolf versus the Hulk idea with, they both change at night. The Hulk tends to be not as grumpy with the full moon, and the werewolf tends to be more powerful with the full moon. And definitely a good play on the whole transformation aspect of both creatures. But that's it for this one. Until next time, read your comics. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my breakdown of this issue, you can support the channel by hitting subscribe. It costs you nothing and helps other comic fans find the channel. You can also visit readyourcomics.com for cool merch, like this. Read Your Comics isn't just a brand, it's a mantra. And when you wear a Read Your Comics shirt, you are helping spread the word. For more classic comics conversation, be sure to follow me on Instagram at read.your.comics. And if you're still here, why not watch one of my older videos? Here or here.